Hello! More questions. Not sure if you've got more answers. You can tell me at the end. Let's begin. Question 1. Where did God tell Moses he could not enter Canaan? Was that Mount Hor, Massa, Horeb, or Mount Sinai? And he told him at Mount Hor in Numbers chapter 20. Question 2. Who was the other disciple that Jesus took up the mountain with James and John when he was transfigured before them? And that was James, John, and Peter in Mark chapter 9. Question 3. While half of the men worked on constructing Jerusalem's wall in Nehemiah, what did the other half do? Did they rest and refresh themselves? They fought against Sanballat and Tobias. They helped Nehemiah design the gate entrances, or they held the spears, shields, bows, and body armor. And the second half held all the fighting equipment in Nehemiah chapter 4. Question 4. How did the other 10 disciples react when they heard James and John asking Jesus if he would grant them to sit at the right and left of him in glory? Were they furious? Were they indignant? Did they point out to them that it was not for Jesus to grant this? Or did they run a raffle to allot themselves other places to sit near the throne? And the other disciples were indignant in Mark chapter 10. Question 5. At which festival did the 12-year-old Jesus stay behind at the temple? Was it the Feast of Booths, the First Fruits, the Passover, or Pentecost? And Jesus stayed behind at Passover in Luke chapter 2. Question 6. Why did James and John offer to call fire down from heaven to consume the people of the village in Samaria? Was it because the people there were worshipping Baal? The people there tried to kill Jesus. The people there did not make them welcome, or the people there did not believe that Jesus was the Messiah. Well, they just weren't welcome in Luke chapter 9. Question 7. Who did Jesus stay with when he was passing through Jericho? Was that Matthew, Luke, Zacchaeus, or Mary and Martha? And Jesus stayed with Zacchaeus in Luke chapter 19. Question 8. Paul asked the Ephesians to pray for him that he might endure hardship for the sake of the gospel, be a worthy preacher of the gospel, boldly make known the mystery of the gospel, or not forsake the good news of the gospel. And Paul wanted to boldly make known the mystery of the gospel in Ephesians chapter 6. Question 9. Who poured expensive perfume on Jesus' feet? No multiple choice. And one we often get mixed up. The answer is Mary in John chapter 12. Question 10. Whom did Jesus call the generation of vipers? Was it the Jews of his day, the Pharisees, scribes, or the Sadducees? And the vipers were the Pharisees in Matthew chapter 12. Question 11. In his second letter to the Corinthians, Paul explained why the gospel is veiled to some people. But why is that? Is it that they do not understand Greek and they don't trust the translations? Is it that they are fools and they do not believe there is a God? Is it because of Satan, who has blinded their minds? Or they are simple-minded people? And the gospel is veiled because of Satan, according to 2 Corinthians chapter 4. Question 12. What was Jesus doing when a storm came up on the Sea of Galilee? Again, no multiple choice. Jesus was sleeping in Matthew chapter 8. Question 13. Which of these disciples did Jesus take with him into Gethsemane? Was it Thaddeus, Matthew, James, or Nicodemus? And often in the inner circle, that was James, according to Mark chapter 14. Question 14. What instruction did Jesus give to Peter, James and John in the Garden of Gethsemane? Was it stay here and keep watch? Stay here and rest? Go and prepare us the Passover that we may eat? Or go to Jerusalem, to Samaria, and to the uttermost parts of the world? And he wanted them to stay here and keep watch, which they just couldn't manage, in Mark chapter 14. And question 15. Which king was 7 years old when he began to reign? Was that Manasseh, Jehoash, Josiah, or Hezekiah? And that was the young king Jehoash, found in 2 Kings chapter 11. Well, did you have all the answers? Well, it doesn't matter if you learned something. If you want to learn more, you could always do more quizzes, or listen to recordings from the Bible on this channel. Or if you prefer the King James, pop on over to my other channel, King James Retold, for a listen. I'd love to have you with me. Everything is linked in the description below or on the screen here. But until next time, goodbye and God bless.